Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. I have two older brothers. This is about the middle one. Our parents divorced when I was very young due to our mother's insane jealousy. At first, my dad was able to handle it, but when she started making comments about me wanting to be like his wife, he had enough. She quickly rebounded with a guy with 2 kids and had shared custody for a while. But when my dad got remarried, she went crazy, calling his new wife every horrible name and claiming he was cheating on her while they were married. I was always closer to my brothers and dad than my mom because she was always very mean to me. Long story short, my stepmom died in a bad car accident and my dad called her in the middle of the night letting her know he would pick us up earlier so we could attend the funeral, and she decided to take us on a fun trip to celebrate something. It was the happiest we've ever seen her, and when we realized what happened and started crying, she told us only worthless people cry for wars. Needless to say, things went nuclear and my dad asked for full custody with visitation for her. He always left the line of communication open and paid for us to visit her when she moved away. But it was still very bad, and as soon as we turned 18, we started to lower contact with her. Last time we saw her was at my high school graduation, where she made it a point to let everyone know who would hear we were ungrateful kids, and her husband would call us bad names too, being no contact since then. My brother Sam started dating his ex 3 years ago. She had heard all the stories and reasons we are no contact, but she believes we're just being dramatic. They had many issues due to her opinions, but she eventually seemed to drop the "you need to reconcile with your mother" crusade. During the wedding planning, there was no indication of things going wrong or fishy. Then we got to church and lo and behold, mom, husband, and 2 kids were sitting in front. I immediately panicked and called my brothers. Sam thought maybe somehow she found out and wanted to crash, called his ex to let her know of potential drama, and she told him it was fine since she invited them. Sam hung up and asked me to go get him while the oldest brother dealt with things at church. We went home and barricaded ourselves there. Even when his ex, her family, friends, etc. came to try and make sense with him. Mom's husband even called and said he always knew we were worthless. Now that the dust has settled, most of Sam's friends are on his side, and so is most of our family, Dad's. Ex's parents already threatened to sue for money they paid if he doesn't want to marry her, but Sam says he would rather pay them back for their contribution than marry someone that betrayed him. My nuclear family 100% supports Sam, but the backlash has been huge. Edit, you guys just reassured us all, thank you. Some have commented about it, but no, she has not apologized. She even went as far as to text my oldest brother, Joe, that she thought it would be a good wedding present from my brother to her since she values family. My dad brought them a house as a wedding present, but only Sam is on the deed. She did have the keys when they moved there, but they just had the locks changed today, and Joe and some cousins are taking everything Sam owns from her flat during the week. We aren't worried about being sued, but we'll consult a lawyer just in case. We also heard mom and her family are still in town, but since we're all staying at our childhood home for a few days, we don't care. My dad is sad that Sam is heartbroken, but is trying to cheer him up along with my boyfriend and my sister-in-law. I had to deactivate my social media because I kept getting nasty comments and messages, but the more people learn the reason Sam ran away, the less it gets. I'm still sorry she felt humiliated, but my brother comes first. Not the a-hole. Your brother escaped marrying someone who's controlling and would not listen and respect his feelings. She instead went behind his back to invite the one person who traumatized you all. She did this because she knew better. He is lucky to have escaped a life of that. As for paying for the wedding, the bride is the one that made the situation unworkable. Brothers should not have to pay anything. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Someone who doesn't respect when their partner says they're no contact with someone for a reason and goes as far as ambushing a reconciliation is not someone who should be in a relationship. Your not sister-in-law showed her true colors. Thank goodness your brother realized before separation had legal ramifications. Your mother has also not changed. She shared her skewed narrative to her family and they've brought it wholeheartedly. Yeah, the only reason for a response like this woman's is that she is controlling and thinks she knows better than everyone around her, even and probably especially the people whose lived experience it is. She must think a whole lot of herself. My husband is in no contact with his mother. His parents divorced and his dad remarried when he was young, and his stepmother is who he calls his mom. He went no contact with his biological mom when he was 30, a few years before we met, and he was kinda cagey about it to me. just said that it wasn't any one thing in particular, but a lot of things that added up, and that he'd always hated her husband. When we were planning our wedding, I asked him if he thought he'd invite her. He said he wasn't sure and was thinking it over. All I said was, if you do think there's a chance you'll reconcile, maybe consider doing that now, because you can't undo not inviting her to your wedding. He decided they wouldn't reconcile. I said okay, and that was that. I can't imagine having the audacity of this woman when she actually knew the reasons for the no contact. If someone has taken drastic measures to be in no contact with their parents, there's a reason, and that should be respected. Edit. Forgot to add that I learned over the years that his stepdad and bio mom were abusive, and the mom ended up choosing being with her abusive husband over raising her son. She had primary custody, but then dropped him at his dad's door when he was 13 and said she was done with him. So I'm beyond glad she's not in his life. Not the a-hole. I don't understand why so many people seem to think it's necessary for reconciliations. When a person says no because A, B, C, just leave it. In the future, they may decide they want to try, but it should be their choice, not by force. Otherwise, it tends to make the situation worse. I mean, I haven't talked to my sister in almost 9 years for various reasons. If someone tried something like this, I would just feel as betrayed, and when people try to say things, I just shut them down. Not the a-hole, your poor brother. This woman is controlling, an insane I'm always right mentality, and has no sense of boundaries. How manipulative is that? She probably thought he wouldn't want to make a scene and allow them there. I noticed the fan out didn't include her apologizing and begging him to take her back. Like she still thinks he's being overdramatic. Imagine having your parents threaten to sue someone into marrying you. The main issue people don't get when they hear someone doesn't speak to a parent any longer is that no one cuts off a parent for funsies. It's a continuously weeping wound. Trying to force reconciliation is basically saying, you say there's a bad wound on your arm, but why not try positive thinking and essential oils to heal? Not the a-hole. His ex used a day that is meant to be special to force her will. It proves she not only does not respect your brother's autonomy, but she deep down doesn't even believe his pain is real. Good on you for protecting your brother. Next story. My sister, 27 female, and I, 24 female, are close. However, we're very different people. She took the college route, became a curator at a major museum, and is currently working on her PhD. I went to cosmetology school and am working towards opening my own salon. I was incredibly honored to be at her wedding party 2 years ago as a bridesmaid. It was wonderful, but I felt that I made quite a number of sacrifices when it came to her wedding. I kept telling myself when it was my turn, she would return the favor. Before everything went to hell in a handbasket, my boyfriend and I got engaged. We decided to put a halt on the planning until we felt we were in the clear. We're scheduled to get married next summer. Unlike my sister, who is a huge planner and detail-oriented, we're very laid back. My sister had her wedding at her place of work, and being that her husband was an investment banker, they had a very lavish affair. We wanted a backyard wedding with a barbecue. We hadn't even gotten around to asking folks to be in our wedding parties. My sister and her husband were over for dinner last night, and the subject of my wedding was brought up, and my sister asked how things were going. I said probably not up to the same speed she was, but she's going to be right up there on the big day. She asked if that was an official request to be in the wedding party. I told her yes, and sorry I won't be making little gifts like she did. She told me that was fine, but then she got quiet and looked at her husband. I asked her what's wrong, and she told me that she'll have to decline my offer. She said that honestly she was a little weddinged out with being so heavily involved as a bridesmaid. She also said that in the next year she has a lot going on with finishing her thesis and surprised she was pregnant. She asked not to say anything and that they were planning to tell everyone at Christmas. She said she still wants to be involved but on a smaller scale and just as a guest, especially since she'll have a new baby. I told her she was selfish after everything I had to put up with at her wedding. She owed me. She looked angry and told me that was a lie. She said I complained about the dresses being lavender, the dates of everything, and how I was the only person in the bridal party who couldn't make her bachelorette party because I wanted to go to a concert instead and we needed to change it. She talked about how she was trying to be understanding and flexible, but I made everything into a tantrum. I was lucky she didn't ask me to step down because she knew it would break me and she wanted me there beside her on her big day. I made her wedding about me. I told her to get out and they'd be lucky if I decided to invite them still. My parents called asking what happened and I told them everything and told them to ask about the baby. Apparently, I made things even worse and my parents want to come over to talk to me. You're the a-hole. Your sister isn't obligated to be in your wedding just because you were in hers. This is not time for payback. The fact that you insulted her and told your parents about her pregnancy, which she asked you not to, shows what type of a person you are, a selfish one. Is what your sister said true? Did you complain about that much at her wedding? Your sister is being realistic. Whatever you had to give up for her wedding was likely inconsequential compared to you asking her to put her PhD and pregnancy or newborn aside to be in your wedding party. You realize it was your choice to be at her wedding party, right? At any point, you could have said no. Anyway, if that wasn't bad enough, you're definitely the a-hole for telling your parents about your sister's pregnancy. That was her one request and you broke her trust. I hope she cuts you off. Lol, I would not put up with a bridezilla like you. Seriously, I cannot believe original poster. Her sister had totally legitimate reasons and was very diplomatic with how she handled it. Getting pregnant isn't selfish and no one's wedding takes priority. Ruining her pregnancy announcement was next level a-hole. I'm guessing that the sister's description of original poster as a bridesmaid was accurate. Asking her to move her bachelorette because she wanted to go to a concert? Like, come on. It sounds like she thought even her sister's wedding revolves around her. Original poster, you're a major entitled selfish a-hole. I hope this post makes you rethink your behavior and try to make things right. No one wants to be around someone like you. You're the a-hole. Finishing and defending a dissertation and growing a human inside you are two major life events, and if she doesn't have the bandwidth to add being a bridesmaid to that, that's perfectly reasonable. You're asking her to set herself on fire to keep you warm. You're asking her to sacrifice her own self-care for you. You're acting like you're entitled to her service as a bridesmaid. Good for your sister for setting and maintaining her own boundaries, and it seems like you're just an a-hole in general because it is beyond messed up that you decided to weaponize your sister's birth announcement. I'd be surprised if she even wants to continue a relationship with you and have you be involved with your new niece-nephew. I certainly wouldn't count her attending your wedding. This whole situation should just be a major embarrassment for you. You're the a-hole. You missed a major event in her wedding for a concert and then you outed her pregnancy after she told you in confidence. But you still think you're sister of the year? Bacon's use of the word weaponize is spot on there. You realize she gets one first baby announcement ever and you destroyed that for her. You are a jealous, petty person and you would benefit from talking to a therapist. You're the a-hole. First of all, telling about her pregnancy, which was a secret and you knew it, was a terrible thing to do. No matter how sad you were at the moment, this was a very toxic reaction. You went out of your way to break your sister's trust, didn't respect her decision to wait until December, and took away her chance to reveal this to her parents. Secondly, no matter the things you do for your family, you cannot do them with the mindset that they're obligated to do the same for you. The worst part is that she didn't even completely refuse to help you. She just said that she wanted to be involved on a smaller scale as she had a lot going on in her life. And after reading about how you behaved during her own wedding preparation and so on, I think it's quite fitting to say that you're not only egoistic, but hypocritical as well. I mean, the fact that you were the only person who didn't even go to her wedding is quite revealing. If you had an important matter to deal with, that would have been understandable. But a concert? We're talking about your sister taking a very big step in her life, and you weren't even here the entire time to give her your support. And now you're asking for her to do that? I'm sorry, but you're definitely the one in the wrong. Next story. I, female 32, have been with my boyfriend Ramsey, male 37, for 3 years. His car recently broke down and he cannot afford to fix it because he's broke. He asked to use my Hyundai several times and I let him, but only for a few times because he tends to drive recklessly, doesn't respect traffic laws, and just has so much rage when he's driving. He asked to borrow my car days ago to attend an event and I refused to let him take it, but I found out he took it anyway and left a small note while I was asleep saying he'd be back before my shift started, but he never did. He got involved in an accident and I received a call from his friend at the hospital notifying me of what went down. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but Ramsey had an injured shoulder and a broken finger. I was both worried and upset and had a talk with him afterwards about it. He told me he expected me to pay for his medical bills for two reasons, and that's 1, he has no money, and 2, the accident was caused by my car since it had a broken tail light, which he claimed to be the cause of the accident, and I should have gotten it fixed, so this was a safety hazard. I laughed in response, but was really upset and told him I never agreed on him driving my car and that I won't be paying his medical bill because now I'll have to get my car fixed since it has no insurance. He threw a fit saying I can't leave him to fend for himself in this situation and saw I should pay since I have the money, but I refused, saying this wasn't my responsibility. We had a huge argument, then I was told to step out because I was stressing him out. I waited in the hospital for a few more hours and Ramsey called me in again and complained about me not caring about his pain he was experiencing and insisted I pay and we'll talk later. But I said no and that this is his problem to fix since I never gave him my permission to drive my undrivable car, as he claimed. I ended up going home after that, and his friends kept saying I was unsupportive and that my true colors were showing since I'm choosing to focus on punishing Ramsey for taking my car rather than helping him when in need. They're trying to talk me into paying, but I kept saying no. You have a boyfriend problem. 1. You told him that he couldn't take your car and he ignored you. 2. He wrecked your car and put all the blame on you. 3. He expects you to pay for an accident that you were not involved in. 4. He got his friends to gang up on you. You should take a long, hard look at your relationship, not the a-hole. Absolutely not the a-hole. Get your keys back, or better yet, get your car rekeyed and make sure he doesn't have a copy. Also, he doesn't sound like great partner material, to put it mildly. You're not punishing him, you're just not enabling him. There's a difference. You never said it was okay to take your car. Dude needs to step up and fix his own problems. He basically stole your car, acted stupid, and wants you to pay for his stupidity. The fact that you aren't naming him for causing damage to your car that you have to pay for since he can't makes you a saint. Broken taillight caused the accident. Yeah, no. How's this? Even if you had insurance, it wouldn't cover his injuries or the damage because he was driving it without your permission. Nothing he did in your car is your fault or responsibility. If I were you, I wouldn't let him touch my keys again. Not the a-hole. So he stole your car and crashed it and is blaming your car's taillight being out for the accident, therefore blaming you for the accident, when he shouldn't have been even driving the car anyway because you told him not to. 1. He shouldn't have taken your car without your permission because it's your car and not his car, so taking it without permission is indeed stealing. 2. How does a single taillight being out cause an accident? And even if it was the explicit cause of the accident, how is that your fault? 3. Him not having money isn't your fault either.